I'd like to ask you just here before I forget about these various rumors I've heard about Billy the Kid. You said your father knew Billy the Kid.
He knew Billy the Kid, and another thing my father said, he told me when I was a boy, putting here grown, that Billy the Kid wasn't killed.
Was not killed?
Was not killed.
Well, how well did your father know Billy the Kid?
Well, he was with him, around him, and seen him time and time and again, and then nearly every day or two, and sometimes 2 or 3 days at a time, as long as that war was going on there, and that was 2 or 3 years or something like that, a year or two. 2 years, I think.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What did he think happened to him then?
He told me, he said he never said nothing about it, but the way he got it, that him and Pat Garrett one time was pretty close friends. They was good friends.
That's right.
They got together, and Garrett told him, he said, you go to South America and don't you never show up, it'll be all over with. And then Billy asked him, he said, how'd you do it? He said, we'll kill the other man. Well, I was going to say that my father helped 2 other men pack him out to where they dug the grave.
Or he helped 2 other men pack out whom?
Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
On a board. They packed him on some boards and 2 cross pieces, or 1 cross piece. They dug the grave, and then they come to the house and got him. It was dark.
Yeah.
And they packed him out, and he said he never saw his face or anything, but he could tell from the weight of him that it wasn't Billy the Kid. And this old sheep herder never did show up no more.
I have heard that Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid were in business together.
Well, I never heard Dad say, but he told me at one time they was close friends.
Yeah.
And had talks together before. And Garrett was supposed to take him. And they had the talk. He told me, he said, I know that. Said they had talks together.
How did it happen your father was there to carry out the
Well,
body?
I never asked him how come him there, but he was on some kind of business down there when he was killed.
That is, when this man who was supposed to be Billy the Kid was killed, then there were 3 men that carried him to the grave, was it?
It was 3 men, and I couldn't tell you the name of the other 2.
Yeah.
He stayed around Maxwell, and he killed out in Maxwell, how I was supposed to,
Yeah.
Billy the Kid. And he said this old man never did show up, this old. He said he was a little dried up Mexican, and old.
Yeah.
And he said he wasn't tall enough, long enough for Billy the Kid. He said he wasn't, but I guess, of course, I was grown then. And I said, well, Papa, I said, Dad, why didn't you say something about it? He said, God, the man wouldn't live 15 minutes if he had him.
Yeah. They're afraid to talk about it even now.
Even now, they're afraid to talk about it, of
Right.
course. My dad's been gone for several years, and I've told it several times just what he told me. Because
And, where did they bury him? Did your father ever say?
Yes, he told me, but I don't know, and I've never been there, and I often thought that going through there, if ever I got close to Fort Sumner, I'd go hunt his grave up if it was marked.
Well,
I'd like to see it.
didn't he or the other man look at this body to see whether
No.
it's Billy the Kid?
No, there was the deputies right along with him. I guess they just sent after them, and he was staying with all night with one of these fellas that they came after. So the 3 of them packed him out.
Would your father know where he was? Did your father know where he was buried?
Yes.
Well, why wouldn't they dig up the body to prove it was Billy the Kid?
Well, as he said, if it had been anything said about it in that day and time, why, a man wouldn't have lasted very long, because he'd have been killed.
You see, the interesting thing to me about your story is he told me that Billy the Kid was never killed by Pat Garrett, that they killed a sheep herder and buried him for Billy the Kid. And here you come along and tell me the same thing.
Same thing. My dad was right there. Well, I'll tell you, my dad was run the stage stand, taking care of the stage stand between Socorro and Lincoln at that time in the Oscudo Mountains. You know where they're at over there. I don't. He's taking care of this stage stand
Yes.
for the government.
Right.
And now that's what I know he did that because he told me all about it, and that's the time that he got pretty familiar with Billy the Kid.
Did Billy the Kid, did your father ever say that anybody else had the same feeling, that Billy the Kid was never killed?
Well, I think he did. I don't remember well, but I think that it was these 2 other fellas. They talked, of course, they talked it over amongst themselves,
Yeah.
before maybe before that night was over. Or one asked the other's opinion. And they know each other pretty well. That is, him and one of the fellows did anyway. And that's the words that he told me.